Oh, right here. Oh, well, is this a new box?
No, this is my shoes. I'm just checking on the color.
What color are they?
They are orange and like a dark blue. It's sort of like Mets colors, but it's fine.
Cute.
I gotta try them on and see which ones are better. Okay.
We're in the middle of recording, Pat, by the way.
Yeah, and someone's not here. Do we call them out now or at the end of the episode?
I think we should call them out now, actually.
Yeah. Give me one moment really quick. Sorry, listeners. Just give me one moment real quick. I need to make a phone call.
Are you going to call them right now?
Moment. Give me one moment for the pod.
Oh, it's a FaceTime call. Well, I'm not going to hop in it.
That's okay. So right now I'm FaceTiming Jackie because they're a co-host of this podcast, yet they're not here. I think they're going to answer. Well, let's let them rest. You know, they need it, being sick for the umpteenth time.
Well, look, sometimes we need to go back to the OG days, you know? It was just the two of us for this podcast for a good 2 years or something like that, right?
Yeah. And now we once again have to get rid of the woman to make it manly again. For those listening, I did say women in air quotes, and I understand that. I know Jackie would appreciate the joke, or at least laugh.
Yeah, I mean, Jackie has said that they are perfectly fine with being called a woman for the bit or for a free drink, which is a great way of, you know, weaponizing femininity, if you ask me.
Literally.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the What's the Gay Thing podcast. I am MacLeod, and today with me I have only one person, but that's okay. And he is my Twizzler. Pat, how you doing?
I hate Twizzlers.
You know what? So do I. Is it because you hate licorice?
I definitely don't like licorice for sure. Also, do you think there's a difference between Twiddlers? My God, Twizzlers, and what are the other ones called? Red Vine or whatever. That off-brand shit.
Oh, I don't know. I don't like any of that.
I don't. And you know what? My dad does, and I knew. Then that's how I knew. Something
everything your dad likes, you're like,
something
like
wasn't right when he's like, I like Twizzlers. I was like, what?
Really? Honestly, I don't see how people like it. I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of nasty.
It's kind of.
Go ahead.
It's kind of like heterosexuality.
Okay, well,
I don't see how people like it. Oh.
You know what? Neither do I. Neither do I, Greeley. And you know what? I was gonna call Jackie my little Hershey's Kiss, but they're not here.
I don't think they use the pronoun her, she.
Hershey? You know what? I didn't even clock that. I actually love that.
Well, I'm an ally.
They're not here to revel in the joke with us. I'm so upset.
And you know what's even worse? They're not going to listen to this episode either, so they will never know that joke exists.
No. I can't. I wrote these in advance, by the way. I wrote the nicknames I was going to say in advance. I always do. Usually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I didn't even clock the joke, and I'm very upset about it. So should we get on into the podcast?
My they them kiss.
My what?
Instead of her she, my they them.
Oh, my they them kiss.
Yeah.
I love
her she. I'm sorry. It's in bad taste to laugh at your own joke, but damn.
Well, what are we going to do? I mean, there's only two of us. We have to, I mean, it's either I laugh at your joke or you laugh at it yourself.
Or no one does.
Or no one, or the listeners do.
Well.
Hey, listener, are you laughing along with us? If you're not.
I think, listener is the more appropriate word, not listeners.
Listen. All right, let's get personal, shall we?
Yeah.
This is gonna be a normal episode of our podcast, one of the usuals, where we just go through our usual segments. Let's get personal. The segment where we talk about us, because we're the most important thing that's happening right now, obviously, in the world.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, Pat?
Work.
I feel like this is always what I get from you. Yeah, I'm always like, "What's going on with you, Pat?" You're like, "I'm just working always."
Well, work has given me over the past, I'd say, maybe month, or month and a half. I've been in a state of anger, fire, rage, and stress over how much I work and how much work I have to do. So that's great, but I have to say, there's something very magical about coming on the pod and revitalizing. All day I was like, I gotta get home on time because I gotta be ready. And then I was, and Jackie wasn't here. How are you?
I'm I'm angry as well at
Mm.
Jackie. No, that's
well. Well.
no, there's a couple things going on with me. I mean, I have this basically a new role at work because as we know, there were some layoffs at my company a few months ago, and I have assumed basically a new role, which it's a promotion, so that's good. I'm getting some more money, but it is more responsibility, so that's interesting. I've been a little bit stressed about it, but I'm going to Disney next week, so that's fun.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that with you.
You going to Disney?
Because you can't come to my birthday party because of it.
Oh, well, I mean, listen, this Disney plan has been in place for months now. I'm sorry that you planned your birthday on the day that I fly back.
I've been on the planet for nearly 30 years, so my birthday, you knew about it before. You knew about my birthday being a thing before you went to Disney World.
Well, I didn't know when you were going to plan for your birthday, Greeley. Well.
Anyway, that's lovely.
I offered to show up, but I would be dead probably.
Listen, and I told you, you do not have to show up. If you want to, that is more than your decision. But you
just out here making me feel guilty, and then you're like, "Oh wait, no, actually, you don't have to come. You don't
want
me to."
That's our whole relationship, girl. That's what you, me, and Jackie do constantly. We shit on each other and go, "Oh no, but I don't really feel like that."
Oh yeah, because gaslighting.
Yeah, that's literally. I listened to the episode of the pod today that I sent you, and Jackie gaslit me into thinking that they didn't know about the Elvira clip and that because for those of you who don't know, there was an episode of the pod where I mentioned the Elvira clip where she goes, someone asks her, "How's your head?" And she goes, "No complaints."
Oh, yeah.
And I said that to Jackie, and Jackie was like, "I've never heard that before in my life." Only after the pod did they admit that they in fact had, and they were gaslighting. So...
But is it gaslighting for the bit or gaslighting just, I don't know, I guess that's for the bit.
I think we've blurred
bitch.
the lines where we don't know what's a bit and what's real anymore.
That's a good point, and I think that's something we need to work on. Let's spill the tea, shall we?
Yeah.
So social cultural stuff. I've watched a couple things actually since it's been a while since we last recorded one of these.
Right. The last one was Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, and that was what, 2 months ago? I feel like it's been a while since we fucking recorded anything.
Yeah.
We also missed 4 weeks worth of episodes, or 2. We missed 2 episodes.
Yes, because we are bi-weekly.
We're bi-weekly. We missed 2 episodes, so it's been 4 weeks since we recorded anything. Anyway, the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action came out. Do you want to talk about
it? Sure. Go first. What do you want to say?
I've been saving some of my energy on this, I would say, for the podcast. However, now that I've been on the internet for a while, listening to people's TikToks, listening to people's reviews of the show, I feel like a lot has already been said that I agree with. Most people say that it's a very mixed bag, mixed reviews it's getting. I think I rated it a 5 out of 10. I think I still rate it a 5 out of 10. It's very middle of the road for me. And you know what? I think I predicted that in our prediction episode. I said, I predict it's just going to be meh. And I was right.
Yes. I agree. There were definitely some things that I was like, ooh, this is fun. But then there was a lot, I was like, this is not. And okay. So a lot of people, there's just, there's so much to say about this. But like, I think one of the main complaints was like, some of it was too dark and too adult. And it wasn't lighthearted enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like showing the airbenders getting massacred, whatever. And I'll just say this. No adaptation should be a 1-to-1 copy. If you want the original, watch the original. And also, this is, I hate to burst everyone's bubble, a more realistic take of what would happen if you threw children in the middle of a sort of genocidal war. Like, I'm sorry that it's dark and you see people dying, but that was happening in the animated series. We just weren't really shown it because Nickelodeon was like, maybe not, probably not. We don't need that. Like, it's a kid's show. Mama, it's a different thing altogether. You want to hate it, fine. But don't hate it for reasons that aren't necessarily valid. Because let's say, for example, Katara's character.
Oh, yeah.
That's a valid criticism because the character itself doesn't present like she presents in the show. That's valid because while I said you don't want a 1-to-1 copy of the original, you at least want things like the overall plot, the overall character development, the core things that make the show to remain the same, and then take artistic liberties elsewhere. That's a valid criticism. This whole thing of it being too dark and too adult, like, girl, that's what happens.
I don't know about it being. Yeah, I didn't mind the more adult shift in tone.
Yeah.
And here's another thing that I have to say, which it's hard, especially with this particular season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I knew this was going to be a difficult season to adapt because this season is very all over the place, even in the original.
Yeah.
They're doing that. It's a new place every single episode. There's 20 episodes, new place every single time, a new arc within each episode, a new focus within each one. It really doesn't have too much of an overarching plot, which is it's a different type of media than what we had. It's a different type of media today than what we had back then. Right now, everything's like, we have these 8-episode season. It's all one arc throughout the whole thing, and you follow these characters through it. Back then, you had each episode is its own thing. And, we didn't have streaming services all the time. So it's not like you could binge watch the episodes. Yeah. So you have to, each individual episode has to stand on its own. So that's what we had back then. We had 20-minute singular arc episodes. And I was like, this is going to be impossible to put into this new format.
Yeah.
However, season 2 is much more like, I would say, plot focused, and it has more of an arc.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that maybe it's easier to adapt just because of the way that the season is structured. I don't know about season 3, because season 3 kind of goes back to that, like...
Yeah, especially the first chunk of season 3 is very much sort of wandering around, and then they kind of get back on track for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the first season, in my opinion, is the worst. So, like, you adapt the worst season, it's not going to be amazing, and that's fine, because even though the first season is the worst in that series, it's not horrible. It's still good. It just objectively, compared to the other two, it's probably the worst in terms of like pacing and plot development and character development. But that's because the show was young.
It was young. It needed to figure itself out.
Yeah.
I think it figured itself out very well in season 2, and
Absolutely.
even season 3 as well. They're both very good.
Yeah.
I just knew it was going to be hard to adapt, but some of the changes are very questionable. Very questionable.
Name them.
Like you said, Katara's character, butchered, basically. They took her and they just made her very one-dimensional, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
People complained about the Sokka removing the sexist part. I think that they could have done it in a different way. Like, it didn't need to be a sexist arc. They just needed him to have that development. They could have done it differently, but they didn't have that development. Instead, they just made Sokka like a good guy from the beginning.
Yeah, I think it was very small. It was basically Sokka, I think, was for a moment embarrassed by how ill-equipped he was as a warrior compared to these people. Because for Sokka, he's like, oh, I'm the only warrior in my tribe. I gotta be really good at being a warrior. Then he meets like a legion of real warriors, and he's like, oh, I'm not shit.
Yeah.
So like he has that moment of embarrassment, and then he seeks help from them and wants to learn, but the catalyst for wanting to learn is completely different, which robs him of development, because it speaks to his in the show, in the animated show, it speaks to his personality, it speaks to his worldview and his bias towards women, or against women, really. That changes. In the live action, it's more just like a humbling experience as a warrior, which is not as for me, it's not as fun or as good to watch, not as rewarding.
Yeah, I feel like it's not even humbling enough. Like, they should have made it where he was more pompous going in.
Oh, yeah.
But right off the bat, he kind of just goes up to Suki and is like, you're a really, like, impressive warrior. Like, I think I could learn from you.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like, no, even if you take the sexist part out, Sokka should have at least come into that scenario being like, well, I'm the best warrior that I know of. I'm really good.
Yeah.
And then receive the humbling that way. I just think it takes a lot away from his character.
Yeah.
They kind of start him later. Like, from the beginning, they start him where he was, like, maybe at the beginning of season 2 in the original. Mm-hmm. That's where they start his character in the live action.
Yeah.
And I don't like that choice. I don't like that choice.
Yeah. Also, Aang not learning waterbending.
That was a choice as well.
Which is honestly okay. The show is not about him learning. I mean, the plot is that he has to learn them, but the show isn't about learning them. There's only really, I would say, 3 instances where the learning of the bending was really important, and that is when he first tries to learn firebending and burns Katara, and develops a fear and aversion to it. I think earthbending with Toph, because it's so core to her personality and who she is as a person, is very important. And then, of course, the firebending masters with Zuko and the dragons is also incredibly important. The rest of it is like the whole teaching aspect isn't like super relevant in terms of plot. I think obviously he has to learn them, but how he learns it isn't like super important. So I think by the beginning of next season, he'll probably know waterbending.
That would be my guess. Who is he going to learn waterbending from? I don't know.
Katara, girl. They said it in the finale. He's like the old guy was like, "You're good enough to teach him now."
Okay, that's another thing I didn't like. Like, I get it, women empowerment. They were kind of just being like, "Look, you're like a self-taught bender now. Like, you don't need to be taught by a man." Whatever. I don't like it. I don't think it's realistic that Katara could have become a master by herself.
But why did they keep that sexism in? Because he's like, the women are only healers, but they had to take Sokka's sexism out. Like, I don't understand what that was about either.
Yeah, and they made it less about like Paku himself being sexist and more about Paku being like, this is just the way it is. This is tradition. Like,
yeah, it's like a whole tribal thing. Like, this is history. But I'm like, no, he was just a dick.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was definitely a tribal thing in the original too, but Paku was also a dick.
Yeah, it was layered.
And that made the fight between Paku and Katara more appealing, in my opinion, in the original.
Yeah.
Because in this one, well, Katara's not angry at all. So that also makes it not as fun. Well, because angry. A lot of the original is like, she's angry.
Oh, she's pissed.
Like, I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
I mean, she's
even if I know I'm not going to do it. Yeah.
She's definitely annoyed in the show, but I feel like there was certainly more rage in the original.
Yeah. And I mean, I like that about Katara's character. I think it's a good part. People are allowed to be angry. Like, I think it's annoying when people are like, anger is not a good emotion to show, so they take that away from people.
Oh, I love anger.
Anger is an emotion. People feel anger. They should be allowed to feel it.
I know. I love anger. Anger's fun. Anger's fun. Okay, well, we can't spend the whole pod talking about this, so let's wrap up with one last thing each. So what's one last word you want to get in about the show?
Okay, my last word in, because I've been complaining about it the whole time. I did like the interactions between Zuko and Iroh a lot.
Yes.
However, I felt Iroh was
yeah. Tell me.
I feel like they took after, because I went back and I watched the original again.
Mm-hmm.
I felt they took away a lot of his like goofiness. Or like, he's just like a fun old man. Like, he steals sometimes. Like, there's a scene in the original where he like pockets something from the market.
Yes.
I'm like, I felt they took away a little bit of his goofiness, which is, I felt why he was very endearing. But yeah, what do you have to say about it?
Well, specific Iroh's character, I thought he was a bit too... And later in the series, spoiler alert, in the anime series, we realize that he's actually part of like the White Lotus people.
The White Lotus.
So he's definitely not on the Fire Nation side, but he presents so sort of not nationalist, but he's talking to Aang when Aang's in prison, and he's kind of like not demonizing the Fire Nation's behavior the way I think he really should be. And maybe that's just because he has to put on the air of like, oh, well, I'm part of the royal family. I'm Fire Nation. I have to pretend to really like their agenda. But it just seemed very odd because he's presented in the show as this sort of more obviously goofy, jovial, but very caring and deeply connected person spiritually.
Yeah.
So that was odd. But I will say I loved the sassy Zuko memes. and I don't know, listen, I don't know if the actor playing Zuko is queer, but it gave queer coded behavior so well that he either knows queer people or is queer himself, because he was just I think during like the premiere of the red carpet, he was in some really nice outfit. So I was like, you have a fashion sense, or a stylist that has great fashion sense. So
Oh yeah, yeah. I loved him. I loved his actor. I loved his performance. I loved
Yeah.
like almost everything about Zuko. I thought was really well done. Everyone else,
I mean, okay, Aang's actor is good for Aang. I hear that too. I think Aang's actor is really, really good for Aang. I think he does capture Aang. Sokka's actor sounds just like the voice actor, which is insane, and looks a lot like the character, so that's fine. Katara's acting, maybe the writing wasn't there for her, but her acting, the dialogue was sometimes a little weird. And then fucking, let's end on Azula.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's so much about Azula
Okay.
that I want to talk about actually.
Okay, people complaining about the actors playing them not looking like the character need to stop. It is not
Yes,
the
they do.
actor's
Yes, they do.
job to dress and like show what the hair and makeup and clothing and design to do that. But the character of Azula, not the actor, the character. I was just like, she's so sort of like not the confident bitch that she presents to be in season 2. And by the end of this season, on the Netflix series, she does have like more of a confident moment.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I was just like, you're just whining like a brat, or you're like, I don't know.
What I want to say about Azula is I agree that I don't quite like how they introduced her, and like they kind of introduced her as more I don't know, flawed in the beginning.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the series, she is presented as this like super confident, I'm gonna fuck you up type girl.
Love it.
And this one they did not present her that way very well. But what I will say is that people who are out there fat shaming these girls, stop it.
Oh,
Absolutely
okay.
fucking stop
like,
it. This is not it, fam. It's not.
I
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, the only thing I'll say is that in terms of the costuming, Ty Lee looks exactly like Ty Lee. Azula looks like Azula for the most part. May, the costume department did her dirty. The hair is really the atrocity. The costume department and the hair did her dirty. She's fine. I mean, she has all of 2 lines in the show because they're not presenting May and Ty Lee yet as characters, but they need to change her look a little. The outfit needs to be a little different, and the hair is the problem.
Yeah,
We don't have to one-to-one represent the hair because some of the hairstyles were fucking weird. I'm sorry.
I do agree, as well as I think Yue's wig looked
I mean,
off.
she's dead anyway, so who cares? She's dead. Well, she's a spirit, whatever.
Okay, here is what I was trying to say. Fat shaming these girls. Yeah. Please stop that. I seeing the comments on some of these videos.
Oh god.
I really got me thinking, like, did I watch the same show as these people? Because if you are a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, a lot of the lessons that you learn from that show is about accepting people as diverse people. Anyone can kind of be like a good person, and anyone can be a bad person.
Yeah.
It preaches a lot about acceptance. So I'm like, how can you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender and then, like, how can you be a fan of this show and then go and fat shame people? Like, it does not make sense to me.
It's very smooth brain. It's very underdeveloped thinking. It's very just clearly ignorant. Clearly missed the point of the show.
Yeah.
Like, it washed right over their brain. I'm just like, why would you? Also, like, even if, because these women that are playing these characters, there's specifically, I've seen comments on Azula and Ty Lee, or not Ty Lee, May. Even if the characters in the show were twig thin and they hired just heavier actors to play them, even if it was because it's not that huge of a difference. It's not that huge a difference because their body shapes just look like average body shapes. Even if they went to the exact extreme, once again, representation matters, and representation does not have to be one-to-one to the source material, and clearly it's not in the show for everything, and that's fine, because the only thing that matters is the person playing Azula or May or Ty Lee, even though those 2 girls had no dialogue, are these people presenting the characters to the best of their ability in ways that are at least reminiscent to the show. If that's being done, great. Unfortunately for Azula, I don't think the writing was there for her. So,
well, the writing wasn't there for a lot of them.
but the outfit for Azula looks mostly fine. The hair looks mostly fine, but the characterization I think is off, which is not the actor's fault. Leave the actor alone.
Leave all these kids alone. Like, my goodness, really. Okay, we can't keep talking about
I know this is not
that.
under queer review for even though there's like no queer people in this show.
But they did make the Omashu girls lesbians, though. Did you catch that?
The Omashu girl? Who?
Oh my god. Okay, one last thing about this. You know the story that they go through in the Cave of Two
Oh,
Lovers?
yeah.
Yeah, Oma and Shu are now lesbians, as opposed to the original where there was a
Oh,
man
I
and
must
a
have
woman.
missed that. Oh, shit.
You missed that? Yeah, they're lesbians. Which
Maybe-
I just thought it was a fine change. I was like, ooh, now they're lesbians.
Also, putting Sokka and Katara in there.
Oh my god.
Can we move on? Can we
Yeah,
move
let's
on,
move
girl?
on. Wait, this is an under queer review. We're not going to review
And
this.
Jackie's not even here for this discussion because I know they have thoughts.
Well, they didn't watch the whole thing, I thought. All right, I want to talk about something else. Ready?
Yeah, what do you want to talk about?
Have you watched the Quiet on Set documentary yet?
Nope. Have you?
I have. I actually just finished it today.
There's multiple episodes, right? It's like a multi-part thing.
There's 4 episodes, and apparently there's going to be a 5th episode coming out soon.
Oh god. Okay.
All right, I will not spoil it for you then.
Well, no, I've seen all the TikToks. Like I know what it's about.
Yeah. Scary stuff though.
Horrible, disgusting, awful stuff. Yeah.
I don't know how much to add to this. But there was one part of the documentary that it just gave me the ick a little bit. So when they're going through Drake Bell's story, and his dad kind of calls out what's his face? Peck. I don't remember.
Josh Peck?
No, the pedophile.
Oh, right. Yes, the other. Yes.
I forget his name. Brian, I think is his name.
Sure.
So the dad confronts Brian, and someone else goes, "Oh, like maybe you're feeling uncomfortable because Brian is gay, and maybe you're just being homophobic." And I was kind of like, "Wow!" First of all, weaponizing homophobia in this way back then, because this was like 2000s, like early 2000s. So weaponizing like, "Oh, you're just being homophobic towards gay people," and
yeah, as if him being gay has made that behavior okay. That's not the lesson to take home here, people.
Yeah, it was reminiscent of, oh god, who was the freaking House of Cards guy?
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. It was reminiscent of Kevin Spacey after the allegations came out against him, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gay," and he kind of made it all about that. He was like, "Oh, it's been so hard for me being a gay man in this industry."
Yeah,
blah, blah,
no.
And it's like, but you can't be a predator.
Yeah, you could be gay and a horrible person. They're not connected, though.
Yeah, and
not.
Also, like, and I really don't like when people make this connection, because then it draws the connection of people like, oh, you know, all gay people are groomers, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
When just as many straight people are also groomers, and even in that same documentary, they talk about another pedophile on that set who was sending dick pics to young girls, and I was like,
oh my god.
Oh boy. Yeah. Anyway, that part stuck out to me. The whole thing is very very disturbing. I will say that, but that part stuck out to me.
The one thing that I saw about it was on TikTok was this person talking about it and going, because Drake, what's his name?
Bell?
Drake Bell, you know, admitted to sending messages to an underage person.
Yes, I believe that is true, yes.
That was, I think, the least of it. I don't know if there was like more intense stuff that happened, but he pled guilty to it or whatever. And the person on TikTok was like, listen, Drake Bell suffered something horrible.
Yeah.
It does not excuse his behavior. However, it could explain, obviously, perpetuating cycles of abuse, perpetuating cycles of violence. And basically the creator was like, let's not just absolve him of what he did. Obviously, we can't just forget it, but it's interesting to see people talk about it and how these two things could be related. Now, I don't know anything about it in terms of I don't have a psych degree. I don't do studies on this stuff. I just thought it was an interesting comment she made, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And one other thing, I do have a psych degree, but I do not use it.
It's collecting dust.
It's collecting dust. I do not use it at all. Another thing was the Ned's Declassified cast, kind of making fun of the whole situation.
Didn't the girl be like, "I blew everyone on set"? Isn't that what she said?
Yes, she did say that. But here's my opinion. Look, if she wants to go around saying that she blew everyone on her set, I'm like, okay, work. Go for it. Like, it's your prerogative. I don't want to slut shame, what's her name, Lindsey?
But, okay, you don't have to slut shame, but blowing people you work with on the job, that is a different thing. That's not good. You can be a slut off the clock.
No, yeah, I mean, wait, during the show were they?
No, but she said she, like, okay, blowing coworkers. This could be a joke. She could have been, but she said it.
Yeah.
Blowing coworkers maybe just isn't the most professionally good thing. She could blow 100 people and I wouldn't care. I wouldn't call her a slut. But blowing coworkers, maybe not the best thing to do.
It's definitely unprofessional. Yeah. I would say. We learned that from Bill Clinton and being blown by his secretary or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good.
No, it's not. It's not the best look. Don't blow your coworkers. Basically, if
you have to, consenting adults outside of work having sex, fine. Parading around that you've blown everyone on set, maybe not fine. Then again, it could be a joke. I don't know if she clarified. I don't know if she's come forward and said that was a joke, guys. But I'm just saying it's a very odd. Okay, it's odd to say that after talking about the documentary.
Did she say it after the documentary? I don't even know. Well, is Jackie coming on?
Isn't that conversation in response to them talking about the documentary itself, though?
No, I think that was. Oh, I don't know about that. I just know that she did talk about it on their podcast, but I don't know if it's related to.
I thought she said that to the same conversation, in which case that's worse. But anyway, you know what? Fine, blow everyone you want.
I just don't want the conversation to be about how she's a slut and that therefore we should discount what they're saying. I'm saying we should discount what they're saying because they're being dicks about it.
Yes, of course. I mean, I'm never going to judge people for sucking dick.
Yeah.
I'm never going to judge. It's great. I love sucking dick. I would never judge someone for that.
Let's see. Is Jackie going to come on?
No, it's too late for them.
Oh, well, they're messaging the Discord as if they're going to come on.
God. Interrupting the pod?
Hang on. I'm just going to tell them we're in the thing that we're in.
And tell them we're actively recording before they come in and say some racist shit. Joking. Jackie would never say that. Jackie would say some sexist shit.
Or something about 9/11. You know them.
So the documentary, anything else you want to say about it?
No, I'm all good. Dan Schneider's a creep.
Yeah, he fucking is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I got some stuff.
Tell me.
I saw Love Lies Bleeding.
Okay, how was that?
I told you about it, remember? Do you remember?
No.
Oh, I did.
Was it in a voice demo?
Probably. Okay, Jackie listened to it. Love Lies Bleeding. Big Leslie energy. And bisexual energy. Kristen Stewart. The other actor, I can't remember the name. Play these two women in love, or they're a burgeoning romance. But the film is like a crime film. It's a thriller film. It's a bit sort of abstract. It's pretty funny. It's very like small scale, and it's based about these two women who like fall in love, and then they start learning more about each other. And one of them's like this bodybuilder chick, and she is roided out huge. This woman is giant, and Kristen Stewart is like a tiny little chain-smoking lesbian, and I love it. They're both great in the film. I love Kristen Stewart. I love the other actor, although I cannot remember the name. And I think everyone should see it. It's and it has such a... People think the ending is a little weird, but I think it's really the perfect way to end it, or at least a very good way to end the film, in my opinion. And if... I'm not going to spoil it, obviously, but I'm just going to say, when you compare it to other media with lesbian, bisexual women and how they usually end, it is nice to see this type of ending. That is, yes, but it's nice to see this type of ending for this sort of film.
Yes.
So, yeah. And then what else I got going on?
Can I tell you something real quick?
Yeah.
So I was talking to somebody who listens to this podcast.
Name names.
Hi, Jess, if you're listening.
Hello. Oh, okay. That was quick.
And you know what she tells me? She's like, Matt, whenever Pat's going on about something that you don't know about, you usually just end it by going, wow, slay.
Did you feel seen and scalped?
And you know what? She called me out. She called me out 100%. I was like, yeah, I do that. And you know what my response is to that movie that you just talked about?
Wow.
Slay. Wow, slay.
Slay. What else I got going on? I'm watching Three Body Problem. Three Body Problem on Netflix.
What is it about, really?
It's the Benioff people who did Game of Thrones.
Oh, ew. I don't
They're adapting this trilogy of books called The Three Body Problem. And
so they can't come up with their own material, so they keep adapting shit?
They were supposed to do a Star Wars film, and then it got canned, so maybe they can't. And I'm watching the first. It's one season. I don't know if it's gonna be more, but it's a good show. It was very overhyped though, because it's a very well-known book or series. It's apparently very hard to adapt because it's so sci-fi. It's so like cerebral in some cases, and it's been if you were like watching Netflix's like ad work, they've been building up to it. And it's supposed to be like this big thing. It's not groundbreaking. It's not amazing. It's not like the best piece of fiction I've ever seen.
Not surprised.
It's satisfying. It's like a sci-fi journey. There are scientists in it, and sometimes and I will say this as a scientist, I have experience in the field. I'm not a fucking physicist like some of these bitches are, but I do have a PhD much like they do, and I'm in a science field. Heavy science, not that light.
Therefore, you are the expert on
heavy science,
physics.
Not light science like the social sciences, JK, although, come on now. I'm talking about heavy science. I'm talking about lab work. I'm talking about fucking molecular biology. So I'll say this. The dialogue that some of these scientists have, I don't think scientists talk like this.
Oh, well.
Where they're just quoting old scientists back and forth at each other, like well-known scientists. They're doing quotes of like what they've said about shit. I'm just like, people don't do this. This
maybe they do in physics. I don't know.
Then they need a life.
Albert Einstein said this.
That's literally what happened. Literally, they quoted Einstein. And I was like, okay, relax.
All right, calm down.
But it's solid. It's fun. It's there's a past and the present storyline. The past storyline, way more interesting than the present storyline. Couldn't give a shit. That past storyline is very well done. So whoever wrote that portion, slay.
Good for them. Slay.
Wow, slay.
Wow, slay.
Yeah, slay.
All right. Anything else you're watching, or can we move on to politics?
I'm seeing Kong, Godzilla New Empire tonight. Godzilla Kong.
Oh, tonight you're seeing
tonight.
Is that why you have a hard stop?
I have a hard out.
All right. Well, I have a hard on. Let's keep going.
Next.
All right. Politics. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
The Francis Scott Key Bridge collapses in Baltimore. Now, this shouldn't be political. At least I wouldn't think so.
But it is, girl.
But somehow it is.
Yeah.
And because when I first heard about this, I was like, "Oh, that's terrible." Like, it's a really unfortunate thing that happened. Like the boat lost power and went into the bridge and it collapsed.
Yeah,
that's a very tragic thing that happens.
Yeah.
But what are people talking about now? Like,
what?
the conspiracy theories going around about this bridge collapsing.
What's that?
Okay, so here's a conspiracy theory that I heard. It's that like Bush did it, they say Biden did it, and the reason
Buttigieg, Secretary of Transportation over there driving a boat into the bridge. Is that what they're saying?
They're saying that the government is responsible for this. I've heard that there were immigrants on the bridge, so Biden purposely sent this ship to collapse this bridge to get rid of the immigrants.
But isn't Biden pro-immigrant? Not pro, but like more pro-immigrant than most people?
Listen, the conspiracies don't have to make sense.
That's why they're conspiracies. Yes, of course.
So yeah, I've heard that Biden did it. I've heard that the mayor, because he's a black man, so poorly is running the city that he let this happen because he's a terrible black mayor. I've heard this one.
Okay, cool. That's a slay.
That's just, oh wow, slay.
Oh wow, slay.
What have you been hearing about this?
Well, because okay, so I obviously, unfortunately, heard today that they've I think recovered some bodies. Horrible, tragic. Hate all of it. Very, very awful. Hold on, my chair was lowered and I just had to adjust it. I saw a TikTok, and this is sort of tangentially related. I saw a TikTok today, and it was about racism and bridges and infrastructure, and I was coming. This was so good.
Well,
okay, the context is not good, but it's so this person so excellently described it.
Right.
I shot my wad. So
you shot your wad because of how excellently it was.
Yes,
described,
and how
not because
how it all
made
so much sense. And okay, I think we might have brushed on this. Who knows? We've been doing this a while. Infrastructure can be racist because when infrastructure is developed, it creates difficulties for people in poorer areas to access richer areas.
Yes.
So the person wasn't necessarily saying that this particular bridge is a product of that. She was just saying when it comes to infrastructure, we also have to. Yeah. When I come to infrastructure, we have to bring racism into the conversation. And she stitched this video of Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation or whatever, talking about it in a meeting, like in a press conference. And she was like, I know a lot of you have been saying, why is racism involved in infrastructure? She goes, let me tell you why. And she explained it so beautifully. So she didn't necessarily draw the connection that this bridge is related to that problem. She said, but now that we are talking about infrastructure, we also have to include this facet of it because so much of infrastructure was used because apparently this prick in New York, I think, was basically like, the law way back in the day, the laws that have segregation to be allowed will probably eventually go away. And we will then be decent. We'll all be together. But infrastructure is so much harder to take away. So sure, I can't outright ban Black people or people of color. They're probably going to get their rights someday. But this horrible bridge is going to be so difficult for them to fix or change. I'm going to put that there. I was moved.
We have been, one thing about infrastructure that I want to comment on is I feel like we put all this investment to it a long time ago, and now we just have this really outdated stuff that's been going for 30, 40 years now, and no one's ever updated it. Like, I'm like, really, this is gonna collapse
Explode.
At some point. Explode, collapse.
Explode just like me after I saw that goddamn TikTok.
Okay, work. Okay, slay.
Okay, slay. But yeah, it's horrible. This whole thing's horrible. I hope. I hope it doesn't happen again. I hope they can repair because it is a bridge. So I'm sure there's a lot of issues now with just commuting at the bare minimum.
Probably, yeah.
I fix it.
I had heard that the bridge was the only way for trucks of a certain size to cross that water because there's a tunnel that the trucks can't go through. So I don't know what is going on over there.
My secret tunnel.
The secret tunnel.
Not
the two
a secret
lesbians
girl.
The two lesbians.
Oh.
All right. Anything else in politics? I have one thing I want to mention, but I want to see if you had anything.
Politics. Marianne Williamson canceled her campaign and then restarted it, which I think is so fucking stupid.
Oh, okay. Work.
I mean, not that anyone cares because no one's really paying attention to her, and maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. I don't really care. But she canceled her run because she wasn't doing well, and then she basically restarted it. I don't know if it's still happening. I didn't hear much about it, but I saw that and I was like, well, that doesn't bode well.
Is she running third party or is she running Democratic?
Girl, I don't know. I just heard that and had to say it.
Because at this point, and this is politics that I wanted to bring up that I really don't want to, but it's the reality. I'm pretty sure that both Trump and Biden are the nominees now.
Yeah.
For president on both sides. So we're coming into a rematch here.
Yeah. And
in election year.
Hopefully they both just knock each other out.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Fist fight.
Oh my God, that'd be great.
Trump is selling Bibles.
He's what?
He's selling Bibles. Trump is selling Bibles.
You know what I find funny about Trump being like the Christian candidate is that this man has done egregious shit.
Yeah,
that would be okay. Egregious shit in the eyes of the Christian faith, right?
Yeah,
sleeping with porn stars, for example.
Yeah,
I don't care about that. He can sleep with porn stars. But obviously, in the Christian faith, that would be really bad. And yet, he still gets their votes. I don't really understand it. Anyway, Trump is currently winning in a lot of swing state polls, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, because recently, this happened, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago, the United Nations passed a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza after the United States abstained from the vote. They didn't vote for it.
I know, I saw.
They abstained.
I saw.
So I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, look, Biden is down in all these polls. And I wonder why, because he's fucking up a lot of shit. Voting to abstain, I guess letting the ceasefire agreement go through could be seen as a positive thing for Biden. But also, isn't it not a good look to abstain instead of just voting for it? Like, I don't know.
Let's talk about Candace Owens.
Okay, what about her?
Candace Owens was recently let go of what's that prick's name?
Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire.
Yeah. Do you know why she was let go?
No, I don't know why, actually.
I saw the video. It was very late when I saw this video. If I have misheard something, please, someone don't correct me. So I watched the video, and basically she was let go because she said, everyone knows this to be a true fact. Everyone, your favorite politician, your favorite actor, your favorite celebrity, everyone knows this. You cannot be pro-Palestine in the United States vocally because you will be silenced, canceled, slowly pushed out, removed. And then right after she makes that stance, she's removed from the Daily Wire or whatever the fuck it's called. And then I thought to myself, I mean, what's her name from the new Scream films? The last two had the two sisters as the leads.
Oh yeah.
One of them was fired from Scream 7 because she posted a bunch of pro-Palestine stuff.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Jenna Ortega, I think, left right afterwards because she was like, I don't want to be involved in this.
Yep.
And so many people in the United States, celebrities, icons, politicians, are afraid or maybe just don't vocalize a lot of this stuff, possibly because so many people in power don't want that to happen because all the money or all the benefit is from Israel winning and staying in control of the area. So the United States abstaining is sort of like, first of all, it's disgusting, reprehensible. Yeah. Like, we're asking for more people to not die. That's like the good thing. So abstaining from that. Also, you should not be able to abstain. You should have to make a decision because abstaining is no. It is a no, but it's not a no on paper so people can use it as a cop-out. There is no abstaining. If you want to be a part of this union, you have to make a decision, yes or no. If you abstain, you lose. You lose your membership. You have to leave.
Oh, yeah. United States, get out of the United States.
You should. You can't abstain when it comes to this shit. There shouldn't be an abstaining option because that shows some sort of like underhanded bias that you can't make it. You can't put your voice out there. Why, girl? You want to be a cunt? Be a cunt.
Also, the United States shouldn't have a single veto power vote in the United Nations. Like, I don't know how the United Nations works.
Me neither,
girl. If the United States says no to something, just one vote, it doesn't happen. I'm like, what? Who gives the U.S. that power? Like,
yeah,
I don't understand that. That's why they had to abstain in order for this to go through. Because if U.S. votes no, then nothing happens.
But it's like, why didn't you vote yes? Why didn't you?
As you said, I always tell this to people when it comes to politics. Follow the money. Wherever the money is, that's the reason things are happening.
I know. It's horrible.
Everything is about money. So in this case, you're right. Israel is an investment for the United States.
Yeah.
To have control of that area. And of course, to have access to the oil industry over there. So that's why the United States wants Israel to win.
It's so...
Follow the money. Always follow it.
I was watching Candace Owens and I was like, oh my God.
I like what's that meme where it's like, oh, the worst person you know is right for once. Like,
yeah. I was like, Candace Owens, really? That's what like I'm enjoying something she's saying. This is horrible. Like I had to watch it again. I was like, am I missing something? Did she say pro-Israel? And she's like, no. And I was like,
I mean, she's right. A broken clock is right once a day. They always say twice a day. They always say. Did I say once? I don't know.
Now, would you consider a clock that was always off to be broken?
This question is too existential for me already. What are you talking about?
Like, because they say a broken clock is right twice a day because it's stuck on one
Yeah.
time, and twice a day you'll hit it.
Yeah.
Unless you're working in a 24-hour cycle, in which case you only hit it once a day.
Yeah.
But if the clock is perpetually off and not correct ever, would you consider it broken? Because it's not right. It's not performing the function.
It's just off.
It's
just off, you mean?
Yeah, but it's not. It's not performing the function it should the way it should. So isn't that broken? In which case it is never right because it's always off. I've hated that.
Listen, we're talking about idioms at this point. It's
an idiom, yeah.
And we don't have to be exact about it. Shut up. Anyway, what's new with the gays? Unless you have more politics.
No.
Okay. I just wanted to say, and this was a news article from 28 days ago. I just thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Humpback whales were photographed having sex for the first time ever, and it was gay sex.
And they were roommates.
I love that. And they were roommates. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Gay shit. I mean, Love Lies Bleeding was gay, but gay shit, real gay shit.
Humpback whales fucking having gay sex is very important to me. Extremely important.
Your search history.
Listen.
Your search history.
Humpback whales.
Yeah. Now. Pornhub.
Humpback whale noises. You know that audio that I always play. Humpback whale noises.
What do you mean you do that?
Or I'll put it. Listen, when we go to events.
Oh yes.
When we go to events, sometimes we'll make Spotify playlists, and I'll throw in for shits and gigs. I'll throw in like weird things like Ram Ranch or humpback whale noises or things like that.
Yes.
So the humpback whale noise is gay sex.
Gay sex. No, I don't think I have anything particularly gay besides the movie I saw. I mean, I'm gay.
Great. This is a gay podcast. I'm glad that you're gay.
Yeah, well, it's actually a queer podcast now because of Jackie.
Jackie accepts the label gay though, so it could.
But I think they also accept labels that are beyond gay that we don't accept personally as ourselves. Like we accept them, but we don't accept them for ourselves.
We accept them, but they don't accept us.
That's true.
Wait.
That's why they're not here. That's why they're not here.
I think they're messaging the Discord again, wondering where we are.
Wait, interrupting the pod again. Doesn't matter. They don't listen.
Right. Let's wrap up this episode so we can get Jackie on for the second episode because we're going to record right after this.
Yeah.
Here's a Wouldya, Couldya, Shouldya for you. Ready?
Please.
Wait, first, a separate question. Besides Avatar, what is like a really good animated show from your childhood that you liked?
Animated.
Shut up, Siri.
Really good anime. I mean, Dragon Ball Z. When I was like really, really young, Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, all right. Here's your Wouldya, Couldya, Shouldya for you then.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a live action Dragon Ball Z or a live action Legend of Korra?
Live action Legend of Korra. Because we've had live action Dragon Ball Z and it was not good.
Oh, have we? Oh, I didn't know.
That movie, girl. That movie. The guy. Okay. The guy who originally wrote Dragon Ball the manga died. It's very sad. He's a pioneer. He inspired so many. I'm pretty sure it's a man. Yeah, it's a man. Inspired so many other manga. Them, her, she. So they inspired so many other manga. So them dying is not good. It's not good. It's horrible. We hate it. But I think the actor who played Goku in that film was like, I don't know if this happened at the same time. He's like, I'm sorry we did your work so wrong. Anyway, no, I would rather have a live action Legend of Korra, which I don't think will ever happen. But I really hope it does because I think Legend of Korra is more easily adaptable than Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree.
It's based on the amount, because they're all shorter seasons. They are arced very, maybe not well, but they have all discrete arcs. And I think it is more adult, so it's already going to skew that way. I think it'd be perfect, and I want to see it. And woman of color leading the show, why not?
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, that is... The Legend of Korra would probably be so much easier to adapt than the entirety of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, I would love that. I'd swear.
Good point.
How
Okay,
about
well,
you? Would you rather have a live action Legend of Korra, or would you have a live action version of what did you like as a kid? I don't know. SpongeBob?
um, SpongeBob.
Spinch.
I liked Danny Phantom. That was a fun
Oh,
show.
that's gay though, so you gotta get that.
Oh well, well now that you've mentioned Legend of Korra, I'm like that would be a good live action. And like, though, if they did a live action Danny Phantom, they could probably just rework the whole thing. It could be like because the story behind Danny Phantom is
Yeah,
not as important as the
yeah, it's more
concept.
just a ghosted episode.
Exactly. So I think that they could probably do like a fun live action Danny Phantom if they wanted to. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with live action Danny Phantom. And if they make Danny gay. Thank you everybody for listening
Okay.
listening to or watching this episode of the What to the Gays Thing podcast. You can catch us again for another episode in 2 weeks. Hopefully, that is. We also do queer media analysis in our Under Queer Review episodes, which you'll find right here. So keep an eye out for those episodes.
Yeah.
If you want to join our survey panel as well, in order to join in on our research efforts to ask the age-old question, what do the gays think? Go over to whatdothegaysthink.com and sign up there. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at What to the Gays Think for updates on when we post our stuff. And yeah, that's it. Thanks, everybody. And I am Matt.
And I bought a huge dildo.
Great.
It's not huge. I mean, it's 6 inches. It's not huge.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.